What is up, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you for joining. Let's get started with tonight's review of Friday Night Smackdown from the birthplace, from the place that gave birth, rather, to Sting, Omaha, Nebraska. Now, before I get started, let me just say congratulations, Bianca, on her victory. Congratulations on Andrade for getting his victory as well. But that being said, tonight was the ending was a little bit predictable. It was kind of like the days of WCW where NWO just ran Rush Shot every week and every pay per view. And it's and I know people will say this is so boringly predictable, but you got to remember, a lot of times this is a heel move because what will happen is the unstoppable monstrous heels will take over and destroy everybody. They wiped out Randy Orton last week. They wiped out Kevin Owens this week. Also, thank God Almighty that Kevin Owens' mother is doing better. But even though people will say it's annoying to see the same thing every week, it's heel move to because it's just building up to make people say, when are they finally going to get theirs? You got to remember that. So there's that, and that's how it is with the bloodline. And obviously, the bloodline is going to win that humongous amount of tag team members match next week. But let's go on to the promos from tonight on SmackDown. Tonight's promos were very interesting. And let's start with the women's promo. First off, that promo with Bayley and Nia Jax, that kind of seemed a little personal. And it's interesting because if you go back to 2017, Bayley mentioned that Nia cost her a chance to go to SummerSlam. And if you remember, SummerSlam's women's match consisted of Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, going up against Britt Baker, DMD, versus Alexa Bliss, now a mother. Congratulations, Alexa. But apparently there was supposed to be something involving Bayley, but she wasn't there. And when they had a face-to-face, not literal face-to-face, but when they sat down, Bayley said, I got injured several years ago. And I got injured because you, Nia, are big, reckless, and clumsy. I could understand. Now, I think, and I know people are going to say people shouldn't be so sensitive about today, but I think we have to be a little careful with the big part because we already caught a little bit of heat because Monday, Gunther, aka Walter, got heat for calling Damian Priest street trash, and some people found that a little bit offensive. I think it wasn't meant to be offensive. It was more so of mocking somebody who didn't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth, with humble beginnings. And that's what people who grew up rich do. They mock people who come from humble beginnings. That's rich heel move 101 to Gunther. So I don't think that was necessarily meant to be offensive in a certain racial way. However, with Nia and Bayley, I wouldn't have necessarily said the big part, but I think Bayley was shooting when she said you are clumsy and reckless. And Nia Jax has had that reputation in a negative way. And apparently she's getting better now, hopefully getting better now that she's king of the ring. So apparently it almost seems like that was a shoot, what Bayley said about her being clumsy and reckless. I wouldn't have thrown the big part in, but the clumsy and reckless behavior, it almost sounded like a shoot. And also, Bayley was very entertaining tonight as Tiffany Stratton went up against Mia Yim, because I don't know if Michin is supposed to be a substitute word for something inappropriate, so I'm not going to use that. However, Mia Yim thanks to the distraction of Bayley smashing her briefcase, and it was funny to watch, Mia Yim got a win. About time. Now, let's go to another great promo that happened that night. Logan Paul and LA Knight. Obviously, LA Knight and Logan are set to go off against each other at SummerSlam for the US Championship. Next week, LA Knight is going to have a tune-up match with Santos Escobar. However, tonight was a pretty good promo. Of course, Logan Paul brought in some familiar material saying that he looks like The Rock. Roman Reigns already told him that. And LA Knight, came up with some interesting points of his own, calling Logan Low T Logan P. That was fun to watch. So it was a pretty good promo. Even called out the fact that Jake was bold enough to challenge Mike Tyson, but Logan's not bold enough to face LA Knight. And then it turns into a brawl that Nick Aldis had to separate from. And bottom line, pretty interesting promos tonight, especially with Bayley. That almost sounded like a shoot to me. And for those of you who are new to wrestling and new to this channel, a shoot is when someone cuts a promo that is actually based off of real life issues, to my knowledge and my definition. But that almost sounded like a shoot tonight. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think what Bayley said was a shoot? Let me know in the comments below. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and that's all the time I have for you today. And I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. Peace out.